And good morning. Welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I'll be your host here this morning on this Monday. I know it was a pretty decent weekend. We definitely want to pray for those in Texas. I know that there was an area of Texas, they got, I think, 33 feet of water. And I'm not sure because demographically, I'm not truly familiar with Texas, but I know they just suffered that massive rain that they had over the 4th of July weekend. And then to follow that, they even had more rain. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about geoengineering, different weather patterns, cloud seeding. And now it seems like the government is actually okay with coming forward with what they're doing as far as cloud seeding. A gentleman by the name of Augustus, he's a very young man, and he actually owns a cloud seeding company. And he's, been making the rounds on social media and doing different interviews, news stations, and stating that, yes, we do seed clouds for farmers. It's very specific what we do. We have regulations according to each state of how much we can do to produce rain so they don't produce, obviously, flooding or damage with the rainfall that they create with cloud seeding. Now, when people were talking about cloud seeding and chemical trails years ago, people said, you've got a tinfoil hat and you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. People aren't trying to mess with the weather and they're not trying to do all of these things. But I wanted to show you a video. And this video, I wanted to say it was put together probably late 2022, early 23. So just within the past few years. And I just wanted you to see some information. Now, the very first part of the video is John Brennan. And his video, I want to say his video was done probably like mid-late 90s. So it was like mid-late 90s, early 2000s. That's when his video was made. But then it goes into 2021 and 2022. So let's check it out.
Often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations.
I think it might be a good idea for President Biden to call a climate emergency.
Why?
Because then it relates to what you're saying. Then he can do many, many things under the emergency powers of the president that wouldn't have to go through, that he could do without legislation.
The World Health Organization is warning that new outbreaks of monkeypox and Lassa fever may be linked to climate change.
This U.S. Air Force report graphically outlines the military's desire to exploit and manipulate the weather for the purposes of war by the year 2025.
As president, I have a responsibility to act with urgency and resolve when our nation faces clear and present danger. And that's what climate change is about.
Okay. So I wanted to show you that video because it was very shocking to me. But this is as well. Sorry, you guys. I forgot to share my screen. Usually I have this all taken care of before you come in there so I can just point and click and get done when I need to get done. But in that video, there was a document that was shared. And so when you're seeing it, you're like, is this a real document? No, it's a real document. And I actually just did a very simple Google search and found it. And it's a research paper presented to the Air Force for 2025. And it's by the individuals listed down here, right? But it's dated August 1996. So close to 30 years ago, in 2026 would be exactly 30 years. So 29 years ago, they were wargaming this in this document. Yeah. So what we see happening right now is a product of what was in this document. This all definitely goes back to, unfortunately, the Department of Defense. It says 2025 is a study designed to comply with a directive from the Chief of Staff of the Air Force to examine the concepts, capabilities, and technologies the United States will require to remain the dominant air and space force in the future. Presented on the 17th of June, 1996, this report was produced in the Department of Defense School Environment of Academic Freedom and in the interest of advancing concepts related to national defense. The views expressed in this report are those of the authors and do not reflect the official policy or position of the United States Air Force, Department of Defense, or United States government. So it's basically a disclaimer. It's like, you guys, we're doing this, but you can't blame us for putting this paper together, basically. Just, making that statement. It says this report contains fictional representations of future situations, scenarios, any similarities to real people or events other than those specifically cited are unintentional and are for purposes of illustration only. This publication has been reviewed by security and policy review authorities, is unclassified, and is cleared for public release. Yeah, because I got to tell you what they're doing. And this is very evil, in my opinion. Just messing with the weather, period, is crazy. But I'll just read some of the table of contents. It says required capability. Why do we want to mess with the weather? Yeah, that's what everybody wants to know. What do we mean by weather modification? Right? System description, the global weather network. Applying weather modification to military operations. Concept of operations, precipitation, fog, storms, exploration of near space for space control, opportunities afforded by space weather modification, communications dominance via ionospheric modification, artificial weather, concept of operations summary. And then section 5, how do we get there from here? Conclusions. And so again, this was pretty much a paper just kind of wargaming, like scenarios, what if, right? This is basically a what if paper. But you've already heard in that video that I played with John Brennan, they already have the technology to manipulate the weather. And he was even saying it's like it can be weaponized against people. There have been some videos out there kind of like, some of this doesn't look natural. It looks weird. Now, I know there are others out there that will say, well, it could be an act of God. It could be. But if we're messing with the weather, this could be, how should I say, a result of messing with the weather. What if we are putting chemicals from jet fuel or other atmospheric chemicals in the air? What if we're doing that, right? Because they do have a lot of trainings that go on in the state of Texas because some of the Air Force bases are there. It's a lot of open land, right? So it's enough space where they can do their training exercises and not interrupt airlines or different things like that. but they're still putting that chemical in the air. Could that be causing it? And then on top of that, they are still doing cloud seeding. Is the cloud seeding messing with the environment, right? That they are doing on purpose to create more precipitation. Again, John Brennan already said we have the ability. Now, it didn't just start in 1996. They've been doing this since the 40s. It goes back further than 1996. So just understand that a lot of what we're seeing, especially with these weather modifications, are just they're not on accident. That's all I can say. It's not an accident. Some of these things are definitely on purpose. And I'm kind of glad that we're getting to see that we're not crazy, right? Because I think for a long time, they were just kind of telling the general public, like, nothing to see here. You guys are crazy. You're just, you're blowing this out of proportion. And it's like, no, we're not blowing it. Something's wrong. Something's happening. And you're not being honest with us. And it's really sad because our government has gotten to the point where the American public is so distrusting. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on or what political stance you have. The one thing that's happening is the distrust of our government is at a fever pitch. And that's sad. That's truly sad because, we need to have some trust in the people that we've voted into office, right? The people that we have entrusted and authorized to do a job for the American people. There has to be some level of trust, and they're eroding it. And it's not us doing it. It's like you guys are doing this to yourself. This is self-inflicted because you don't know how to be honest. You don't want to really do your job. And then you've got, media on top of that. They just want to keep people pitted against one another and not getting anything done. It's crazy. It really, really is. But this is Recap Monday. So like I said, I brought that up in particular because there was another storm in Texas. And please pray for those families and individuals. Because to have 33 feet of water, and I think it was in less than a few hours that they had that much water in one area of Texas. Texas is really getting slammed right now, and we need to pray for those families that are there. But the next thing I wanted to do, I wanted to look at all sides and, you know, check out some of the news that's happened over the weekend. And then we're going to get back into, of course, immigration. There's some things I wanted to look at that are happening in California and just really look at California's constitution, because what people don't realize is each state has a constitution of their own, and they exercise it in the way they want to exercise in their state. Now, they can't give people less than the law, but they can give people more with the policies that they use in conjunction with the state constitution and how they actually exercise it. Oh, Jamal, thank you so much for reposting the stream. So let's get into it and check out all sides. Now, this is one story. It's 1 year from Butler assassination attempt. Trump and the Secret Service are changed. And this was a very pivotal moment in the campaign for our current President Trump, who was voted in office this past November. But at the time, people were really on edge about what was happening, you know. And some people were like, oh, it just nicked his ear. There's nothing to see here. And other people were like, wait a minute. We saw somebody on the roof and we were yelling at officers and members of Secret Service. There's somebody on the roof. You need to deal with that. Yeah, there was a lot going on. They even had the current members of Secret Service who were questioned, right? I think maybe a week later, that following week, they were questioned by Congress. And the Secret Service wanted to blame it on the FBI, and the FBI wanted to blame it on the Secret Service. I was like, "Really? You guys are pointing fingers at one another and nobody knows what happened? Nobody knows how we got here. You guys are at the top of the food chain as far as, you know, when it comes to protecting the president in a way that's where you're working with law enforcement, right? You're at the top of law enforcement. You're at the federal level of law enforcement, and you have no idea what's going on? Really? We can find somebody in a hole in the middle of the desert, but you can't figure out what's going on right here? Really? Yeah, it came back to that for me. I was just like, this is horrible. And this is, in my opinion, it really started to rip at the fabric of our country because you still have people to this day that downplay what happened. I don't care who it happened to. It happened to Trump, Biden, Obama. I don't care. For anybody to make an attempt on the life of any president that, especially in our nation's history, that's concerning. And everybody should be concerned at that point. Drop your political hat. Drop it. Because we've seen somebody killed in broad daylight that was the president of the United States. We've seen it. We've seen the footage. It happened. And it wasn't some bullet that came magically and hit him. No, it was the person in the car that shot him in the face. That's why his wife was trying to climb out of that car. But for decades, people were lied to about that. And in front of our face, we saw somebody almost get his head blown off. And then people wanted to downplay it. It's like, stop that. Don't do that to us. Oh, thank you, Dr. C, for reposting the stream. Yeah, don't do that to us. We are a lot more savvy, I should say, in the way we consume information. But unfortunately, media is being used against us. You got to remember, the Smith Modernization Act is allowing this. It is allowing the waters to be muddied and for people to stop trusting what they hear. This is why I'm constantly showing you guys documents to back up what I'm talking about. And I know for some people it might get on their nerves. And I do appreciate everybody that hangs in there with me when I'm doing that. But I do that because I want you guys to know where I'm getting the information from. I want to give you information that you can actually look back on later, right? When a show is replaying, and you can maybe point out to me and say, hey, you missed this, or hey, I found this too. You might want to cover this, right? Because it's about sharing good information, clean information, and information that helps us to be better consumers of our news. And so Sunday marks the 1-year anniversary of the attempt of President Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania, drawing coverage across the spectrum on how the event changed him. So in Iowa, fireworks, both the Associated Press, which is left bias, and The Hill, which is center, led the moment from earlier this month when Trump was on stage in Iowa and fireworks rang out in the distance. Did I hear what I think I heard Trump said? Don't worry, it's only fireworks, I hope. Famous last words. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure he does suffer with, some type of PTSD because his life was taken while he was speaking in public. So for the Secret Service, The Hill wrote, the shocking moment served as a turning point for Trump, both politically and personally, and it set off a reckoning at the Secret Service that is still playing out. Ostensibly referring to ramifications and changes for the agency, including 6 agents being suspended without pay last week for failures at the Butler assassination attempt. So they're still removing people today, to this day. You know what I'm saying? It's been a year. And last week, they just got rid of 6 people. Yes, so that means they're still going through it, and that includes the FBI as well. I don't think the FBI should be off the hook. It shouldn't just be Secret Service. So, collateral death. Fox News on the right also mentioned the failures of the Secret Service and penned several paragraphs on Corey Comp- Comparator, a volunteer firefighter who was killed at the Butler rally while protecting his wife and daughter when he heard the gunfire. So, bias notes. The Hill wrote, the near death experience also added to Trump's already mythic persona among many of his supporters. Fox framed Trump as valiant in its coverage, writing in its headline that he is now stronger than ever as a result. The Associated Press, which last year refrained from saying Trump was hit with a bullet, while most other outlets did, wrote in this year's coverage that a gunman opened fire at a campaign rally, grazing Trump's ear. Yeah. So there were a lot of outlets that just refused to say it. And then some of them made light of it. They're like, oh, he probably had a blood pack on his ear and it was all staged. How did people die if it was staged? Because that firefighter, he died. He was, his life ended that day protecting his family. So was it fake? Yeah. That person's no longer with us. So it's stuff like that. When, you go, okay, I get it. I get it you don't like this person. I get it that you want people to be on your side about this. And that's either side, right? But at a certain point you need to be human and call balls and strikes and calls what's right and what's wrong. And what was wrong is somebody was on that roof and people were pleading with the officers to look into what's happening. And they stood there and did nothing. Because I've seen the footage of that. And I was like, what are they why aren't they doing anything? You can literally see this person on the roof and you did nothing? Really? You guys take down people in in a rally for less. They might have I don't know, they might be hecklers or whatever, and you get them right on up out of there quickly. And this person had a gun on the roof and you just let him post up? Are you serious? But it happened. It happened and they all sat there like, "We didn't know what happened." Like, "Really?" It was crazy. It was insane. Hey, good morning, April. Thank you so much for reposting the stream. So we're gonna take a quick break, and like I said, we're gonna get into some things going on in California. I'm telling you, I don't it is, in my opinion, it is a failed state. From the governor to one of the larger counties, Los Angeles County and the city of Los Angeles, it is truly sad what is happening in California. So we're going to take a quick break and we will see you guys on the other side.
At all sides, we give bias ratings for hundreds of media outlets. By freeing people from filter bubbles and providing different perspectives, we can all be better equipped to understand the world and each other. So how do we do it?
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols. Thank you so much for joining us here. And so I wanted to look at the next story, and it says a federal judge issues a restraining order on Trump's immigration enforcement in California. Now, the Supreme Court, this is crazy. The Supreme Court has already told these individuals, you cannot do that. You cannot keep doing these injunctions, but they don't care. They're going to do it anyway. They're going to do it. How do you put a restraining order on immigration enforcement? Like, Their job is to maintain order. Like, their job is to maintain order. If law enforcement, and you're gonna be like, nope, we don't want you. You need to stop doing your job. Are y'all? I don't know. Is anybody out there following me? Like, does anybody like sit back and like shake their head and go, what world am I living in? Not like planet or time, world. They are pushing so hard for people that are breaking the law. Like, when did this become a thing? Like, when I say become a thing, like, it's almost like if you're not on the side of illegal immigration, you're the crazy person. I'm like, what? When did what? So the United States, we're not supposed to be a nation of laws. Everybody else can be, though. Because if this stuff was happening over in any other country, they'd shut this down. They are shutting it down because some of this is happening in their countries. I don't know to this level, but this is insane. This is crazy. Like, what? A judge? And they're supposed to uphold the law. A judge. Come on, guys. This is a judge. So a federal judge in Los Angeles has issued a temporary restraining order, or TRO, against Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ruling that the agency likely violated constitutional protections through its immigration enforcement practices in California. The order applies to Los Angeles and 6 nearby counties and remains in effect pending further litigation. What? So Righteous Anger says it's no longer being tolerated. I I don't understand. This is just I'm in my 50s and I just don't understand why people are okay with crime. They're okay with it and they support it. Judges supporting criminal behavior? I mean, I've just this is what I call legislating, not even legislating from the bench. This is activism from the bench. This is true activism from the bench. And it's blatant. So a US district judge, Mami Uisi Manasa Ringpong, and I probably butchered that whole situation. A Righteous Anger says this is crazy. Yes, with the 2 Ks, cray. Right? I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but Frimpong, a Biden appointee, barred ICE from detentive stops without reasonable suspicion that someone is unlawfully in the United States. In the order, Judge Frimpong cited a mountain of evidence that federal agents were arresting people based on race, employment, and accent, calling it a Fourth Amendment violation. Her July 11th order also requires ICE to document stops, define reasonable suspicion, and train agents. Ma'am, they are trained. And furthermore, they're going after people that have overstayed orders to leave the country. That's who they're going after. And what has ended up happening is because they are around other people that are here illegally. Guess what? Temporary protected status is over. So if they think TPS is protecting them, it's not. So if you've got 8 TPS people and 2 people that have overstayed that ICE is coming for, the other 8 are going to get wrangled up in there because they're not supposed to be here either. There have been people that their court orders are dismissed. That means they are here illegally. There's no protections from them. They've gotten their due process. Our tax dollars have paid for this, by the way. See, judges like this is activism from the bench. True activism. And it makes the Biden administration look horrible because you put this person in this position. This falls back on Biden. And that's sad. That's just sad to me. So the case against ICE was brought forth in June as a routine petition from 3 detainees. However, it has escalated into a significant lawsuit challenging the way ICE operates. The plaintiffs allege that ICE is indiscriminately arresting people with brown skin at various locations without reasonable suspicion. The claim is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and the Trump administration has given ICE an unrealistic quota of 3,000 arrests per day, causing officers to disregard legal requirements. And so this is how the media covered it. So Fox News, which is right biased, focused on the impact of the ruling on ICE operations and included statements from U.S. Attorney Bill Alasai disputing the allegations in the lawsuit. NPR that leans left highlighted the fear these raids have prompted in immigrant and Latino neighborhoods. Meanwhile, Newsweek, which is center, focused primarily on the details of the order and the background of the case. It's still insane. Because, like I said, what they're not telling you about these plaintiffs, are they here legally? Because if they were caught up, they were here illegally. And I think I said this on the show last week. I said it's really sad that the face of illegal immigration has become the Latin community. That's not anybody else's fault but the media. The media is doing this. If you're upset, Latin community, you need to talk to the media. You need to talk to MSNBC, CNN, because they're putting your face out there. We know that there are other demographics and other ethnicities that are here illegally, but they're not putting them on camera the way they're doing it to you guys. They're not. You are the face of illegal activity. That is not anybody's fault but the media. And then the media wants to make y'all victims at the same time. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Black people, we are not going outside to help. We're not. Now, there might be a lot of people like, oh my gosh, she's using race. Yes, I am. Because they keep wanting us to come outside. They're saying in Spanish, we shall overcome, and we the people will never be defeated. I've heard it. Stop that. We the people will never be defeated, and you are championing people being here illegally? Have you lost your mind? Stop it. Stop it. And the reason why Black Americans aren't going outside is because we are not supporting illegal activity. Period. We're not supporting criminal activity. We're not supporting criminals. That's why we are not supporting this. Okay? As a unit, we had a meeting, or at least some of us had a meeting. Some of these other ones out here, if they decide that they want to support illegal activity, they can go on. But the majority of us, no. And I think that's the majority of Americans. Even immigrants that are here legally don't want illegal immigration. They're not supporting this either. And this shouldn't be a racial issue. But the only reason I brought that up is because the way they're going about it, they keep trying to make it a civil rights issue, and it's not. People have broken the law. They have overstayed their visas. They have been told by the courts that they have overstayed and they need to go home. They have gotten deportation orders. That is why you see ICE showing up at houses and jobs in these other areas, because local law enforcement doesn't want to detain these people. The judges don't want to send these people to a detention center where ICE can just pick them up. They're releasing them out in the general public to make ICE look like the bad guys. ICE, they're not the bad guys. They're the good guys. They truly, truly are. And they need more respect than what they're getting. And I'm going to bring some more things back up. But this is criminal. And this judge, this person right here, I can't pronounce their name, but this judge actually should be brought up on federal charges. They should be. Because the Supreme Court has already said, don't do this. And you're doing it anyway. It's crazy. It is crazy, crazy, crazy. And Righteous Anger says, "Oh, Diablos, no, okay, to be fair, okay." She was like, "Oh, oh no, they must go." Yeah, yeah, they should. Because this is, I haven't seen it this bad since I've been in this country, and it's really sad. But I've got another video I want to share with you guys.
The people upholding the law.
But you know what I've never seen?
And shout out to this gentleman right here. I want to say it's Kingdom Reacts, and he's on YouTube, so make sure to give him a follow.
A federal agent working a case do is pull a mask up so nobody knows who they are and go out and terrorize a civilian population. And I think it's important for us at this point to be very plain speaking when we say that this is not normal, it's not acceptable, and it's a danger sign. You know, we are well past the point where we can just identify danger signs and say, oh, there might be problems down the road. The problems are here, they're in the right now. And as we see people being pulled off the streets, you know, the danger to law enforcement, quite frankly, is that when you're masked like that and people don't know who you are, someone might exercise their lawful right of self-defense to protect themselves, thinking they're being kidnapped. So the notion that this is for law enforcement's protection is utterly ludicrous, and we need to do away with that. But you know what? I've never seen a federal...
Somebody says as if they don't know they crossed our borders illegally, LOL. Now, that wasn't a protester ranting. That was a former U.S. attorney on MSNBS justifying violence against ICE agents. She didn't flinch either. She sat on national TV and planted the seed. Now, if you think ICE agents look like a threat, that's obviously your green light, right? That's going to be her green light in this. Let that sink in. The left has spent years undermining law enforcement. Now they're dressing it up as self-defense. But here's what she didn't tell you. The agents she's demonizing, they're being followed, stalked, trapped in dead ends in some scenarios. And the people doing it, nah, man, they not even hiding.
This is what they brought us yesterday. That is what they shot at us with yesterday. As VC Defensa, Ventura County's been relatively quiet for the last 2.5 weeks because our amazing volunteers have been following every single ICE car that comes out of that facility in Camarillo. We have been jamming them up, following them nonstop throughout the county, and every single time those cowards do one of two things. They run to the local police departments and have them place security guards for them, or they go run and hide on base where they know we can't follow them. Right. Our incredible volunteers have been nonstop since 5 in the morning.
Okay, I had to stop it right there. You're calling immigration officers cowards when they are a step above border protection, right? Because border protection, they're immediate defense, right? They are there guarding the physical wall, making sure that people don't go back and forth. And when people do, they stop them and deter them to go back. Some people do get through, though, right? They still get through the wall. ICE agents were put in place because immigration did not have a way to immediately detain people in more of an officer capacity, right? Because they couldn't use the FBI. They couldn't use the DEA. They couldn't use the CIA. They couldn't use the NSA. You know, and I'm mentioning all of these agencies, but none of these agencies had the enforcement capacity to actually go out, make arrests, detain people that were overstaying their visas here illegally to deport them. And you've got someone like this coming out calling them cowards. This gentleman, I'm not sure of his name, but VC Defensa, that is the name of their organization. And good morning, Rock. And he says, They know well they are ICE agents. They do. And here's the interesting part, and thank you so much for reposting the stream, Rock. They are admitting to committing a crime. So I want to just take this down just real quick. We'll get back to the video. But I wanted to show you guys something. This is the website, VC Defensia. When I saw it on the shirt, I was like, okay, well, let me look up and see what you guys are doing. And so here's their website and their organization. And here's that gentleman there that we just saw on camera. It says empowering immigrants in Ventura County with trusted resources, guidance, and community support. So where to start? They give their number, preparedness. It says VC Defensia is a coalition of local organizations dedicated to protecting the immigrant and refugee population of Ventura County. Now, when they say immigrant, they don't say legal immigrants. So who are you talking about? Are you talking about people that are here illegally as well? Because that's who you're defending right now, because that's who ICE is going after. ICE isn't going after people here legally. They're going after people here illegally. So you're already letting us know who you support. And you've brought together a consortium of other local organizations that are okay with people committing a crime against our country. But you live here in our country. Yeah, this is the stuff like Pam Bondi, like if you're listening, DOJ, if you're listening, you need to go after these people. But I've got another person that I kind of want to reach out to and give a shout out to. Then, especially, they're one of the U.S. attorneys over Los Angeles that I need them to investigate all of this. And I'm going to put up their phone number and I'll make sure to repost it because this is the person that we need to call and write. Like, I got to find an email for them as well. They need to be emailed and say, you need to put a stop to this because people's lives are being endangered doing their jobs. You U.S. attorneys, you need to do your jobs and you need to shut this stuff down. It needs to be shut down. It says how it works. We receive a call or text with suspected ICE activity in our communities. Let me make this a little bit bigger because I think that's kind of small for you guys. Okay. So this is on their website. It says we receive a call or text with suspected ICE activity in our communities. Our trained volunteers respond within minutes, collecting evidence of ICE activity, speaking to the community, and spreading awareness of our rights. Our dispatcher sends alerts to the community, letting them know where ICE was seen. We build community with know your rights trainings, political education, direct outreach, and volunteer sessions. So they are admitting to opposing ICE. Like they're admitting to this. Now, I know last week I brought this up. Title 18, Section 111 of the United States Code, also known as 18 USC 11, is a federal statute that criminalizes the act of assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, or interfering with certain federal officers or employees while they are engaged in or on account of their performance of their official duties. The statute is designed to protect federal officers and employees from physical attacks or obstruction while they perform their duties. And this gentleman was saying how they follow them, they corner them, and they intimidate them. Oh, yeah. This is a crime at the federal level. Like, I need people arrested. Like, I need people made an example of. Like, this gentleman that was speaking, like, I need him somewhere 10 years, federal prison, no parole, period. I would love 20 years because he's organizing other people to do it. 20 years, federal prison, no parole, I'm good with it. I'm good. Now, the penalties for violating this depend on the severity of the offense. For simple assault, the penalty may include a fine or imprisonment for up to 1 year or both, right? So you could be in prison or you can pay a fine. Not enough, in my opinion. If the acts involve physical contact with the victim or of the assault or the intent to commit another felony, the penalty may include a fine, imprisonment for up to 8 years, or both. If acts involve the use of deadly or dangerous weapon or inflict bodily injury, the penalty may include a fine or imprisonment up to 20 years or both. I don't want people getting fined. I want them locked up. And I need examples made out of a whole bunch of people. They need to be locked up. It needs to be, if you interfere with an ICE agent, you need to be arrested right there on the spot. Done. 20 years, federal prison, no parole. Done. Like, your life's over. You touch one of them, you're done. And we need a whole separate organization that's all they do. While we've got one set focused on getting the illegal people off the soil, we need another set of ICE officers arresting people, trying to impede those officers from doing their job. We need two different sets. And people will be like, well, what about the due process? That is your due process. You just heard me read the penalties. People are not following the law, and they are blatantly disrespecting the law. I just showed you a website where they are encouraging people to obstruct the law and impede these officers from doing their jobs. Now, they'll be like, oh, we're just calling and alerting people. No, you're doing more than that. You're showing up in droves where they have to throw tear gas at you to disband you so they can do their job. This is crazy. And this shouldn't be happening on the soil, but it is, because some of these people aren't being removed the way they need to be, and people aren't being made an example of. And that's my opinion. Let's finish the video.
Day across this fucking county, patrolling and surveying our spots and jamming up every ICE officer that we find. We've gotten so incredibly good at finding them. We have.
Oh, sorry, I got a question from. It says, do you think they are going to force Trump to bring in the military? Well, he has brought in the National Guard in some instances. I know in Los Angeles, they did bring in the National Guard. I want to say in that area of Los Angeles County, I think they had the National Guard up there too. They also had police officers as well. So, he brought in the Marines in Los Angeles because they needed to bring the military in, because Newsom was like, yeah, you need to take away the National Guard. And when they did that, things got worse. It was just very crazy. He can bring in the military, but I don't think he's going to unleash the military on United States soil, because that's a whole nother level. And I know the military is supposed to protect foreign and domestic. But when you're getting into that realm right there, you're looking at civil war at that point. You're looking at all out civil war when you bring in the military in that capacity, where they're not just holding the line, where they're actually having to take down U.S. citizens that are in a form of civil unrest. Now, my recommendation is continue to use ICE with the money that you have, but use ICE in another enforcement capacity to start arresting people that are impeding ICE from doing their job, right? Like I said, for every one person that's taking out an illegal, you need 2 people to arrest people impeding ICE from doing their job. And they both need to be ICE agents. One for the civilians that are thinking you're disappearing people, when this person over here that's here illegally has overstayed their visa, and they actually have deportation orders that they violated, and they need to get out of here, because that's what we're doing, right? You need to have 2 people to get other people out of here. And we'll get it. We just have to keep demanding it.
Force them to switch up their strategies multiple times over the last few months. We don't even have to wait on hotline calls to report where they're at. We're finding them in the wild. Also, they're not smart drivers. They drive into dead ends and cul-de-sacs on a regular basis. Consistently, they're idiots.
Horrible drivers.
We have watched these ICE agents morally and emotionally break. We have buckled them. When they have seen Beachy come across the corner in her SUV and lock eyes with him, we have seen their shoulders drop. And we have seen them sadly drive back to their facility and clock out for the day. When they heard Lexi come around the corner yelling and screaming and on their ass on a consistent basis, they freak out and they lose control. And again, they drive into dead ends and cul-de-sacs on a regular basis. We have an incredible team that's never going to stop. And even though yesterday we ate pepper spray, we ate tear gas, we got hit with rubber bullets, they took it out on us. 2 of our volunteers got snatched up yesterday. We're still missing John. We still have no idea where John's at right now. We have been looking tirelessly for John Cavarello. He's a professor at Channel Islands. That's the other part. Our base of volunteers is an incredible group of people that are medical professionals, they're legal professionals, they're professors, they're mothers, they're fathers, there's parents, there's students.
They're here illegally.
There's people from all walks of life. There's old people that are patrolling on a regular basis in their little Honda Fits chasing after these ICE agents. Yesterday, they threatened one of the volunteers that they arrested. They threatened her with federal charges.
Oh, my fault. They're not here legally. They're being illegal. But the people they're defending are here illegally. I misheard.
Against an officer. Can you show us the violent weapon that she had yesterday that made them threaten her? This was the violent weapon that they accused her of threatening officers with. They locked her up, they beat her up, they put a boot on her back. Wow. But she's still here.
Okay, and understand that an air blower can be used as a weapon because you can blow debris in people's faces. You can blow air directly so bad in somebody's face that it has blowback, and it can actually blow, like I said, debris at them. Almost like a weapon, like a bullet or rocks or leaves or whatever. Yeah. Anytime, I don't care what you have in your hand. If you are coming at somebody forcefully, whatever it is a weapon if you are using it to intend harm. And you're like, oh my gosh, she had this leaf thrower. This isn't a weapon. Why did she have it in the first place if she's not being violent? That's my question. You know, you're trying this person up here at the podium. Look, DOJ. You need to find this and nuke this today. Like, I need this person arrested in prison. Stop playing with these people. Stop playing with them. Get them off the streets now.
She got released and she's riding on him again. And we're not stopping because at the end of the day, we got nothing to fucking hide. We'll take any federal charges they want to jam us up with. Those are just 3 of the many volunteers that we have across this county.
And Dr. C says, fire them all. Professors, doctors, lawyers, deport all of them. Yeah. Yeah. Because see, what people don't understand is, you know, when you're a naturalized citizen, it can be revoked. Just because you get here and you're naturalized doesn't mean that you can just act crazy. Look, you applied for citizenship. You are not a born citizen. So if anybody up there is naturalized, and I'm really hoping with the whole 14th Amendment thing, we can challenge everybody's birthright. Don't let one of your if both of your parents were here illegally, makes you illegal. This is about to be a time, y'all. We're going to have some civil unrest in this country, and we need to be prepared for it. But we definitely need our judiciary and our law enforcement to stand up and start arresting these people that are causing this civil unrest. Like I showed you their website. And he even said it himself. He was like, we don't even have to call each other anymore. We just know when they're coming. Like, wow. And you people are lauding and applauding, defending illegal activity. These people have broken the law. And you're helping them to continue to break the law by further breaking the law by actually following and impeding ICE agents from doing their job. And y'all are just happy with yourselves. It's disgusting.
The point is we're never going to stop, and we're going to keep coming after them consistently over and over and over again until they get out of our county.
We jammed them up. We've been following them since 5 a.m, he says. What else did he say? We watched them break and go clock out or something to that effect. This man is describing psychological warfare on ICE and smiling about it.
And Unc says anyone interfering with ICE should be arrested on the spot and deported. And you're not wrong. They should be in the position to lose their citizenship. And Black Flag, thank you so much for reposting the space. He said, great day. Thank you so much, Black Flag, for joining us here today on Unfiltered Vision News.
We know they're not protesting policy at all. They're hunting people. But if you're waiting for Democrats to condemn it, don't hold your breath. Because the next clip proves something somehow helping it happen. I'll say that. And if one thing when radicals, like myself, I guess it's one thing for radicals to stalk federal agents, but it's something else entirely when a member of Congress helps them to do it. Mm-hmm. Listen to this guy. Come on.
I'm here at a nursery in Carpinteria where ICE just finished an ICE raid operation. I got here, I got many calls from constituents, from social media. We saw what was happening, and I came here to do my congressional oversight responsibilities. When I got here, there was obviously a crowd of protest, and it was overkill. Over 50 ICE agents that were here, and they were conducting this operation. They were creating fear, anxiety, and intimidation. They were dressed in military garb, clothing, military-grade weapons. They were just creating an untenable, incendiary circumstance where they could have got members of the public and themselves hurt. They were pouring gasoline on the flames of this situation. This is ridiculous. There was a child that was hurt. They deployed in various flash devices and smoke devices. Here's part of the shrapnel that came from one of those devices, and it actually hurt a young child that was in the crowd. This is deplorable. This should not be happening on our soil. Individuals dressed like military personnel on our soil. We don't do that in America. This is overkill. This was ridiculous. This was a bunch of crap. And I'm here to do our oversight. They didn't let me through. I saw other members of the public right through here on bicycles, and certainly they did not let me go through the line, the perimeter line that they created. Eventually they dispersed, and that's why I'm here right now. And it's my understanding they apprehended 10 out of the 12 individuals that were here. I got that from the owner of this nursery, not from the ICE agents. Nobody would speak to me. I only got a card from the government relations person and asked me to, if I wanted information, to call Los Angeles. This is unacceptable. If I'm here as a member of Congress doing my oversight responsibility, I should be given the information and the contact information that I need. And that was not the case today.
And here's the deal. These members of Congress talking about their oversight and I'm doing my, no, you're not. You're getting a photo op, right? And you're inciting violence against these officers. You really are. Because you are the person inciting the public to distrust the executive branch, which is what ICE falls under. You're the legislative branch. Your job is to write legislation. It is not your job to show up at ICE facilities. It's not. It is not in your job or your purview. I need somebody to show me. They keep going, congressional oversight. Do your job, which y'all only work half of the year anyway, and still don't get anything done for us. Unless it's for your party. You get stuff done for your party. You don't get stuff done for the people. There's a difference. Yeah. Now you've got someone in office that he was put in office because people were like, we do not want this illegal activity in our country anymore. We've had it. Remove these people here illegally that are driving down the wages, that are taking over. When I say taking over, they are taking over communities with gang activity. We want these people gone that are here illegally breaking the law, period. And you're standing there talking about how incendiary the administration is, how incendiary these ICE agents. These ICE agents don't owe you anything, sir. They don't have to talk to you about anything, sir. They don't answer to you. They don't report to you. They are not under your jurisdiction, period. They're not. This is crazy. And it's this stuff that's got people at such a fever pitch.
This is deplorable.
They gave me a business card. So you decided to get them a protest. That card wasn't just paper. It became a target. The agent ended up injured in Salud. He's out here grandstanding about oversight. Imagine if a Republican had done that to the FBI. CNN, all these left-wing mainstream media publications, boy, that'd be have a meltdown. But when it's ICE, the left just looks the other way, obviously. So what happens when the same anti-ICE rage makes his way to our classrooms? This guy right here. Professor Jonathan Caravillo. I'm definitely find out that I'm saying that wrong. But he was arrested for throwing tear gas at federal agents, a college professor. This proves that degrees don't make you.
Yeah.
This dude was throwing canisters at law enforcement.
So
Not only
here's the thing. He threw debris, right? And I showed you guys, if you decide to, is it the act of assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, or interfering? Okay, so this person was assaulting the officers. He threw the tear gas can at them. You can protest all you want to. You cannot interfere and you cannot obstruct or assault these officers. You can't do it. It's crazy.
Was he part of the mob? He became the attacking groups like, I think, what is it called? VC Defensa, I believe that's what I'm reading. Yeah, they praise him like a martyr right now. Look, this isn't education. This is radicalization. Meanwhile, what's going on in Portland? We've been talking about Portland like every day, it seemed like. But in Portland, agents are being swarmed again. But this time, the feds fall back.
I'm not doing anything. I am an American citizen.
Yeah, of course.
Get back! He ain't doing shit. Get back! He ready? I'm not doing anything.
So, federal officers arrest Antifa rider during the ICE facility clash.
Yeah.
This was posted today, actually 3 hours ago from right now of me recording this. Now, you can hear the shock in her. I'm innocent. I'm an American citizen. I can't even remember what she said, but something like that. It's like they forgot what happens when a riot against what happens when you riot against federal property. But don't worry. This wasn't the only chase that night. Seconds later, agents sprinted into the street like it was a war zone.
what, bro? For what? For what? For what? For what? Like, did you guys just want to get some exercise or something? Who did they snatch? Who did they grab? They got one. Who did they grab? Who was it? Who did they grab?
Oh, man. ICE agents chasing suspects in the dark. Talking about some, who they grab? For what? I think she said, y'all killing my heart. While the crowd mocks them literally for doing their job. I keep telling y'all, this is exactly where we are now with it. Criminals one route and the mob gets offended when someone actually chases them down to apprehend them properly. But if you thought that this was dying down, there are still people recruiting more for this chaos.
Hello all, I'm at the corner of McAdam and Bancroft in Portland, Oregon. We're at the Portland ICE Detention Center, which we've been occupying for at least a month. It's been more than a month. So you should join us. There's people here continuously the whole fucking time, and there will be until they stop stealing our fucking families. So join us.
But my question is, how are y'all affording this? We got people complaining that they can't afford rent and all these other things. How are y'all? You've been there a month. You're there at night, so nobody's sleeping, right? So obviously you got to sleep during the daytime. Who's funding this? Somebody is funding these people because this has become their job, right? You're not just protesting on like Saturday. You're not like a weekend warrior protester. No, you Monday through Sunday. Somebody's paying these people.
Get down here. Hello all, I'm at the corner of
This isn't a peaceful protest. This is warfare, man. Promising to stay not until justice, but until ICE leaves entirely.
And Unc says, if they are American citizens, then they should follow the laws of America or deal with the consequences. Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is the end game for the far left. Erase immigration enforcement completely and replace law with a mob like this. And mob rule. But not everybody's bound down. In Tampa, some young patriot showed up and showed us that the fire hasn't gone out. Deportation. Hey. Yeah, man. It wasn't ice, baby, but, you know, this version of Dill.
Right.
That's what Courage looks like. This is them students fighting back at the TPUSA event. The other day I didn't
Tampa.
react to it, but there's a clip of a guy who got ran down by law enforcement after he attempted to protest. So, seeing this is cool. No mask, no hiding, no excuses. Just a generation that's done being silent while ICE gets hunted. While the media gaslights and criminals get to sit out here and play victim all the time. Okay? So next time someone tells you ICE is the problem, hit them with one of these. If you know, and I got you. Yeah. No, but show them, the bruises. Show them the footage. Show them the professor with the tear gas. Like, show them the evidence and remind them no nation survives if it punishes the protectors and empowers the attackers. Drop a comment below, team. I want y'all thoughts on this. And if you're new here, hit subscribe because over here we don't just talk about it, we document the war zone. Y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. I did 4 videos today. I think I can go cook me something to eat now. Whew, it's been a long
one. Yeah, and that's Kingdom Reacts. He's pretty cool. Check him out on YouTube. And with that, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to show you guys another video from Los Angeles, California. In particular, the city's called Culver City. So we're going to check them out. So thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, and we will see you on the other side.
The browsers of today are broken. They've been overtaken by a barrage of sneaky and annoying ads, trackers that follow your habits, and cookies that build profiles, and all sorts of other internet clutter that's taking precedence over the content that you want to see. In fact, these useless bites can take up to a whopping 50% of page load times, with a third of it anxiously trying to learn more about you. To make matters worse, some ad blockers are even letting ads through when large advertisers pay them. But do you really want a leaky ad blocker? It's because of these very reasons that we developed Brave, a new browser that kicks internet crud to the curb and makes it faster, safer, and better to surf the web than your current browser. With Brave, everything you need is built right in. We integrated technology that automatically blocks trackers, annoying ads, and shields everything that can cramp your style and destruct your privacy. With it, you can expect increased speeds nearly 2 times faster on laptops and up to 4 times faster on mobile. And unlike any other browser, Brave allows you to support your favorite publishers with automatic micropayments. So it's a win-win for you and your favorite sites. To top it all off, Brave is open source because we truly believe it's our web and we need to fix it together. So ask yourself this question. Do you want a web browser made for the internet of today? If so, try Brave. It's faster, safer, and ad-free.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I'll be your host. And so this is something that I came across over the weekend. It says Culver City, California passes a $50,000 grant for immigrants impacted by ICE. So if anyone is impacted by ICE, it's people that are here illegally. So Culver City, and it's passed, by the way, passed 4-1 or something like that, some weird number. But I'm going to play you guys the video of the city council actually making the argument, calling them their neighbors and residents and all these other terms. These people are here illegally, and you are giving them aid and comfort, and they are here illegally breaking the law, and you're giving them grants. Yes, you heard me. Now, the interesting thing about this is when Black people talk about getting reparations, they go, oh, guess the immigrants got you guys reparations. Interesting, because you're the same people that keep caping for these immigrants. And it's not everybody, but I'm just saying there are some that make that juxtaposement, and it's harmful. Because you have Black Americans in this country, and a lot of people say, well, you've already gotten your reparations. And what is this argument? The argument is the harm caused and what it is. Some of those reparations, and I do say some, they were isolated, but they still weren't followed through with, because people will say, well, you got the Homestead Act. Well, the Homestead Act was put in place, but the people that were supposed to benefit from it, it still got denied to them. It's almost like you read the headlines, but you don't read the rest of the impact that it had. And it's that part. And now you have a set of Black Americans that are standing up and saying, you need to stop this. You need to give us our repair. And you keep telling Black Americans, no, we're not going to repair you, or we're going to put a study in place, right? But then you want to turn around and give money to people that are not even here legally. They're not taxpayers. And a lot of people will say, well, illegal people, they pay taxes too. Okay. They pay taxes. Okay. Are they supposed to get Social Security? Why are they here illegally paying taxes? Makes no sense. None of that makes sense. It's crazy. So Sassy Lady says, unbelievable money for breaking the law. Yeah. And Unc says, I thought Culver City was mainly a Black American territory in California. It used to be. It used to be like many cities in the Los Angeles area. They are now more predominantly Hispanic and Asian. They're not Black anymore. And I saw it happen. And Sassy Lady says the government has been falsely studying reparations since 1989. Not wrong. Was it HR 40? Yeah. So sad. Well, let's get into this video. Let's see what they're trying to do now.
I see that, but also I think that immigration defense is really important as it pertains to the legal defense. So my priority would likely be Immigrant Defenders Law Center in terms of as much support as we could provide specifically for folks. We know some folks who, were impacted in our community. So hopefully resources could go specifically for those issues and those matters. So for the money that is in front of us imminently, I think the legal defense is priority number one, to make sure that folks can stay here and have that legal support, followed closely by ensuring that food is available. And again, hopefully we can partner with Sherla on some of the Know Your Rights conversations that are coming in the future. That would be my preference. Thank you.
Where are we getting all this money from? We had $20 million, $250,000, $50,000. Now your rental assistance is going to be on the following agenda. I'm sure the CCUSD is going to be asking. I mean, I get it, but where are we getting this money? We just hell-bent on bankrupting the city. I don't get it. This is drops in the bucket, some might say, but to me it's not. This adds up. I mean, these consistent drops in the bucket is what sinks a ship. That being said, I have a hard time supporting really right now any of this, considering our financial positions that we're in as a city.
I do think this is a good use of our money to help support our neighbors in need that are facing, these challenges legally and with other support needs.
My concern, I feel that this is important, and I could really use $50,000 right now, but I know that this could be spread and impact a lot of folks that need some help.
That motion passes 4 ayes, 1 no.
Okay. So they passed this. A grant of $50,000 to a nonprofit organization that is assisting immigrants impacted by recent federal immigration laws. So you've got a city that is giving financial assistance to protect criminal activity. That's what happened. They're not protecting legal immigrants, because legal immigrants aren't staying home. Legal immigrants are not afraid of ICE. They're not, because they know they're here legally. They know no one's coming after them because they're here legally. What are we doing? Mr. O'Brien, that was the gentleman that was like, yeah, I'm not behind this, because, these little drops in the bucket, they add up. Because he was like, where is this money coming from? What are we doing? You've got the county of Los Angeles, which Culver City does fall under Los Angeles County. They're in a deficit. But Culver City itself, they are fiscally responsible within it. And that city has always been that way. I used to live in the neighboring city to Culver City, and I know that, Unc was like, yeah, it was a Black American territory. It was, past tense. When I was living there, I want to say in the late 90s, that's when I started to see the changes. There were fewer Black people that were living there, and there were more Latino people that started moving in that area, and Asian people. Yeah. And it's probably predominantly Hispanic and Asian now. But yeah, I wanted you guys to see that because this is really crazy. Unk says they can't even speak their truth because if they do, they'll be ostracized. They'll be ostracized out of their democratic stronghold community, ran mainly by Mexican committees. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm wondering, like, who is this organization that this $50,000 is going to help people that are here illegal? Again, they're not helping people that are here legally. They're helping people that are here breaking the law. So something that I wanted to look up. So I wanted to look up California treason laws, right? And it says the California Constitution defines treason as levying war against the state, adhering to its enemies, or giving them aid and comfort. So similar to the federal Constitution, right? This definition mirrors the United States Constitution definition of treason, which limits the crime to these specific acts. To convict someone of treason in California, the prosecution must provide evidence from 2 witnesses to the same overt act or confession in open court. The California Constitution also states that a person may not be convicted of treason except on the evidence of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or by confession in open court. This requirement ensures that only those who have genuinely committed the serious crime are convicted, and it serves as a safeguard against wrongful convictions. I don't think so. I think they purposely did it that way so that they could get away with what they're doing now. It says, in addition to the constitutional definition, California Penal Code Section 37 PC defines treason as warring against the state or adhering to its enemies, carrying the death penalty or life in prison without possibility of parole. The penalty for treason shall be determined pursuant to sections 190.3 and 190.4. So as you see the wording, it's like warring against the state and adhering to its enemies. It's meaning the state's enemies. So if the state hasn't made anyone enemies, and we can use Trendiagra or MS-13, if the state hasn't, California state hasn't said that those people are enemies of the state, then they can basically maneuver with impunity if no one says that they're enemies. If the governor doesn't call them enemies, they're not enemies. They're just rolling around the state, terrorizing other people. Yeah. And so I also wanted to look this up. The California Constitution, Article 1, Declaration of Rights. Treason against the state consists only of levying war against it, adhering to its enemies, or giving them aid and comfort. Right? There's that or. Giving them aid and comfort, but they still have to be designated an enemy by the state. The state has not designated them an enemy. They operate with impunity. A person may not be convicted of treason except on the evidence of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or by confession in open court. And then I wanted just to break down treason. Section 3, Clause 1, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Now, President Trump has made these individuals enemies at the federal level, which overrides the state. But this is why there's been that whole back and forth. So I know a lot of you out there are like, well, why is Newsom, standing up for these people if President Trump has called them enemies, because according to Newsom, he has not made them enemies in his state. But the federal government can override that. So that's the clash that they are actually having. And of course, it says no person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. So here's an annotation. It says the treason clause is a product of the awareness of the farmers at that time of the numerous and dangerous excrescences which had disfigured the English law of treason and was therefore intended to put it beyond the power of Congress to extend the crime and punishment of treason. The debate in the convention remarks in the ratifying conventions and contemporaneous public comment make clear that a restrictive concept of the crime was imposed, and that ordinary partisan divisions within political society were not to be escalated by the stronger into capital charges of treason, and so often had happened in England. So basically, it was something that had been abused, right? So thus the farmers adopted two of the three formulations and the phraseology of the English statute of treason enacted in 1350, but they compass compass conspicuously omitted the phrase defining as treason the compassing or imagining the death of our Lord the King, under which most of the English law of constructive treason had been developed. Beyond limiting the power of Congress to define treason, the clause also prescribes limitations upon Congress's ability to make proof of the offense easy to establish and its ability to define punishment. Yeah. So it's not really easy to define treason, but the one thing that's good is the way that it is structured. It openly puts you in a bucket if you are overtly committing treason. But the only way that it's punishable is if people come against you with it. This is why people can act treasonous, and we've seen them, and do it with impunity because no one at the level that they are coming after them, right? So let's just say the DOJ. I'll just use it for an example. This DOJ says, okay, we have a treasonous governor, right? And they go after that governor. They're still going to need two people in that state that can prove that they're being treasonous, even if the DOJ brings the charges. So I just want people to realize that it has to all fall within that bucket. And Dr. C says, so that Cali law is futile. Yeah. And it's sad. It's sad. They watered it down. And that's what I wanted you guys to see, because a lot of times, people say back, well, that's treason. It's not. Some of it is. But if there's no witnesses, right? And what I mean by witness is like you've got to be there in the room and you have to say, this person on this day said that they were going to do this in this way that causes treason. Like they have to stand there, and then they have to have another witness do that with them. It's difficult to prove because some people might say, well, that's hearsay. What did they sign? How did they go about committing treason actually? Yeah. Like it is a very interesting law and clause that we have. And it should be very easy to execute, but it's very difficult to execute the way it's formatted to actually, hold people accountable. But one thing I wanted to bring up last week, I pulled up these U.S. attorneys. Now, this is for California. And the reason why I wanted to bring this back up is because especially Bilal Isaili, this person has actually been mentioned in different articles that I've read. This is a district U.S. attorney. This is somebody who we need to reach out to regarding what's happening in Los Angeles County with Karen Bass, even with Culver City. We need to start writing this U.S. attorney. And they are at 312 North Spring Street, Suite 1200 in Los Angeles, California, 90012. And their phone number is 213-894-2400. We need to start calling this office and finding out what can be done to protect these ICE agents. Number one. Number two, what can be done to arrest the governor of the state and the mayor of the state that continue to protect illegal activity. Period. We need to find out, like, why aren't you arresting these people yet? And I know you guys are like, well, wait a minute, the whole treason thing. Hold on. Outside of treason, this is what Karen Bass and Governor Newsom are doing. Title 8, Section 1324 is a federal law that prohibits the bringing in and harboring of unauthorized aliens. And they're protecting these people. This is what I'm talking about. So when you guys call them, you need to tell them under Title 8, Section 1324, why aren't these people arrested yet? At all levels, governors, mayors, city council, commissioners. Hey, let's even talk about your House representatives and your state and your federal senators and your House senators, right? Let's get everybody that's harboring these people, because you guys are doing it. You're doing it with impunity. We need to report the ACLU. We need to report this other place, this VC Defensia that's in Ventura County in Los Angeles, admitting to protecting people that are there illegally. Yeah, because they're openly defying ICE and trying to prevent ICE from doing their job. Yeah, this needs to be reported to this guy, this person right here. I'm not sure if it's male or female. I really don't know. But to Bilal. You need to call him, 213-894-2400. 213-894-2400. And I'll make sure to repost that when I, repost the show. It's going to take us people power to do it. Because if we can't do it under treason, that's fine. But we do have Title 8 USC Code 1324. And these politicians that are out there acting illegally with impunity, it's time. Yeah, it is time for them to, be put in prison. And thank you so much, Sean AI, for reposting the stream, and Sway Me, thank you so much for reposting the stream as well. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get back into some more news as we are going through our recap, right? Our recap Monday. So thank you guys so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look, speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
And we're back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols. Thank you so much for joining us here this morning for our last segment. And so I wanted to also talk about this. It's a controversy over ICE raids and detainment procedures. Now, we've heard a lot of the complaints, as I've shown you here on the news this morning. But I wanted to actually look at this article. It says Tom Homan, President Trump's border czar, has caused a stir with his remarks on Fox News, where he stated that immigration and customs enforcement officers do not need probable cause to briefly detain individuals. So the details. Homan's comments were in response to questioning about an expected federal court ruling that could halt immigration raids. He claimed that ICE officers could detain people based on observations, location, occupation, physical appearance, and actions. This statement raised legal questions and prompted criticism from Democrats who argue that detaining and questioning individuals based on their appearance is illegal. Wow. Is that like laughable? I know there's a whole bunch of people, especially in New York, that are sitting back going, really? We don't remember stop and frisk? Really? And that's still a thing today, right? They call it profiling, actually. There's a name for it. And it inadvertently and specifically affected Black Americans. Specifically. We've seen the videos of people being followed by police into their subdivisions. It happened here in Georgia. Actually happened to T.I. It was hilarious. We've seen the profiling. It happens all the time. Now Democrats are upset. Now y'all are upset. You're upset because it's happening to people that are here illegally, by the way. Now profiling's an issue. Okay, I want everybody to remember this. I want everybody to remember this about these Democrats. They need these people here. That's why they are protecting them. They need them to be their new voting base. That is why they are pushing for them so hard. In my opinion, every single person that is a representative of the House or Senate that is promoting illegal activity and promoting these people stay here on the soil should be arrested under Title 8, period. We can get you under Title 18 as well if you're obstructing, But Title 8, yeah, I like it. It says, these developments come amid ongoing tension over immigration policies under the Trump administration. The debate intensified following a recent ICE raid on a marijuana farm that resulted in rescue of 10 children suspected of being exploited for labor. So this is how the media covered it. The Federalist, that's right bias, focused on the outrage from Democrats over the ICE raid, emphasizing that the children were saved from likely exploitation. Democrats are faking outrage and allegedly defending violence against federal officers and ignoring potential child labor violations, according to the article. On the other hand, Daily Kos, which is left, labeled Holman a racist and accused the Trump administration of racial profiling. That's interesting because I did cover this in my show. A lot of these individuals that are of Latin descent, they identify as white, by the way. They don't identify as Hispanic. They don't. Okay? So stop it with the race stuff. You look crazy. The article pointed out that racial profiling is illegal under the 14th Amendment. Why are you dragging us into this again? Why are you dragging Black Americans into this? This was written for us. Nobody else. Stop it. Ooh, I'm on one day. I'm sorry. And suggested that these practices are making Americans feel less safe. I feel safe. I don't know about y'all. I'm glad that everybody illegally that's here leaving and getting picked up quickly. I appreciate it, by the way. The Hill Center detailed Holman's comments and the ensuing controversy. The article also mentioned the pending federal court ruling and the ACLU's claim that ICE agents were detaining individuals based on their Latino appearance, many of whom were U.S. citizens. Again, ICE is going after people that have overstayed and have actually been ordered to deport. That's who they're going after. And what ends up happening is if there are other people there that are here illegally, they're getting picked up as well because there's no more temporary protected status. With semantics, the ACLU, members of Congress, they are muddying the waters with this situation, making people think that people are just getting picked up and they're just profiling them. Well, then stop making them the face of illegal immigration. That's all I got to say. Why don't you bring up some people that are Chinese foreign nationals that are here illegally, by the way? Why don't you make them the face of illegal immigration? Why aren't you making Africans the face of illegal immigration? Huh? There are a whole bunch of demographics here that are here illegally. It's not just people in the Latin community. But see, you're making the Latin community the face of illegal immigration for a reason, because they are an easier voting base for you. Yeah, I said it. They're an easier voting base for you. Because see, you can use Latins against Black Americans. And you've been doing it for a long time, and I've seen it for a long time. You know, like Unc was mentioning earlier, he was like, wasn't Culver City a Black, area? It was. Past tense. Was. There are parts of California that used to be predominantly Black. Black people don't live there anymore. They were run off. Compton was a predominantly Black city. Gone. It is run literally by Latinos and Asians. There are no Black people there. And if there is there's a small segment of Black people that live there, probably less than 5%. They have run us out of everywhere because when they come here, they are given the businesses in our cities, predominantly Black cities. And they are allowed to be there by the politicians. This has been a silent war for a long time. And yes, it is war. Some people don't like it when I use it in that respect, but I have to call it what it is. These politicians, they know what they're doing. And they know how they're trying to separate people. And what they're trying to do is create a war of division on the ground. They want us looking at each other crazy and fighting against one another when we actually need to be looking at them. the politicians that are in the seats of authority that can actually fix this. But they're sitting in their seats of authority saying, well, I'm going to use my freedom of speech to incite violence. Well, when you incite violence, it's no longer freedom of speech. When you go to a No Kings rally and you talk about how you don't want any kings and you're there literally supporting illegal immigration and your lawmakers, yeah, that's when you fall under Title 8. And that's when the DOJ really, I need you to step up and do your job. Because there's a lot of these individuals that they need to be arrested. You need to do your job. You need to protect the American public. That's part of your job, DOJ, to protect us from them. Lawmakers do not get to act out of pocket with impunity. They don't. They don't. They can be impeached. They can be removed from office. They can be arrested. It can happen. So Unc says the chickens have truly come home to roost. Everyone was okay when Black Americans feel unsafe. But now that the shoe is on their foot, they are outraged at America. These fake Americans need to be deported now. You are not wrong. You are not wrong. Yeah. Because see, they're crying. And they're crying. And it's crazy because they're crying for Black people to come outside and help them. We're not coming to help you. We do not support illegal activity at any time. I don't care. Republican, Democrat, Independent, Black people are not coming out there for that. Not that. And if they are, I need them to really rethink it. And that's for everybody. That's just not for Black people. That's everybody. If you are out there caping for illegal activity, I need you to stop and rethink it. Stop that. For a long time, this has been a silent war. And now they're giving people a platform to say, hey, you need to support this illegal activity because these are our neighbors. These are, no, they're not. They're not even good neighbors. A good neighbor is going to be here legally. A good neighbor is going to make sure that they respect the laws and their family respects the laws, right? That's a good neighbor. Stop it. Stop it. Do not sign over to evil, period. Nope, I'm not doing the bleeding heart thing either. It's like people will be like, but they're separating the families. They shouldn't. Everybody needs to go back home. Everybody, including people that was born here. Go home to wherever your home country is. If that's Honduras, go home. If that's Ecuador, go home. Yeah, I am mentioning countries in South America because people in Mexico, they are not South American. They're two different continents. I need people to understand that. Just because somebody is in South America does not make them Mexican or vice versa. There are different people, period. And it needs to stop. I mean, right now, they're trying to deport people from Mexico back into the United States because they're mad because their stuff is being all thrown out of whack in their economy. They don't like it. They're like, look, you can take your American dollars and go back home. Y'all messing us up down here. You're making it unaffordable for us. So it's not just happening here, it's happening everywhere. But at least some of the people that are there in Mexico from America, they're there legally. They're not there illegally. They're nomads. Yeah. And I'm sure it's not all the nomads. It's some of them. It might be retirees, right? Because that's been a thing for a long time. People are like, how can I stretch my dollars? Well, let me, go to these smaller countries where my American dollars are going to go further and live a good life and do that. Now they want you gone. Call them what they call expats. Yeah. Now they're telling the expats, you need to go back to America. We do not want you here. You are messing up our economy. Thank you for spending money, but you're messing it up for us. Go back home. So they've got civil unrest down there. I mean, it is just interesting outside. But I want to thank you guys for joining us here today on Unfiltered News for this Monday recap. Tomorrow we're going to have Tell It All Tuesday. And I'm so grateful for everybody that joined the live and reposted the stream and listened in. And thank you so much for the commentary with Unc. And let's see, I had Unc and I had Dr. C. And I want to say I had Sassy Lady. Thank you guys so much, Black Flag. Just everybody that participated, Righteous Anger. Thank you guys so much. So that'll do it for today here on Unfiltered Vision News. Make sure to check us out on X, Facebook, and YouTube. That's where we air live. And I do post on TikTok as well. But thank you again so much for joining us here this morning. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great one.